What is going on, guys? Predator458 here, and welcome back to my channel. And I am back. I hope you guys didn't miss me too much. As you may or may not know, I've been having some technical difficulties this week. Unfortunately, the hard drive that World of Warships was installed on was randomly switching on and off, which obviously was not good for the game and caused it to crash several times. Most of the times while playing Montana, trying to get a video of this Tier 10 American battleship. But we're all sorted now. I have reinstalled World of Warships onto one of my other hard drives, and everything seems to be a-okay. It had no more crashes or anything like that. Unfortunately, I hate the Montana. I'm just going to come out and say it right now. The Montana has been a massive letdown, and I really wish I had stopped at at Iowa at this point. So what you're going to see is not a very good game. If you're expecting to see an amazing Montana gameplay, this is not it. I just basically want to talk about this ship, what I have experienced, the problems with it are, and my problems with Tier 10 actually. So we're on two brothers. We have spawned on the top right hand side of the map. We are heading down towards A. Now this battle is not going to have too much damage, not going to have too much interesting action, unfortunately. It will, however, show off some very nice teamwork at one point. And we got our first target, which is a Turpit, and of course he disappears just as I'm trying to take aim. But basically my problem with the Montana is, one, its guns don't seem to be good enough, and here we're going to take aim at the Mogami. We're going to get off a full salvo, and unfortunately he is turning away, so nothing's going to hit. But for one, the guns just don't seem to have enough penetration when you have to deal with the Yamato, unless the Yamato is showing you its broadside, which they don't do. The guns just cannot punch through the Yamato's armor, especially when it is angled. Unfortunately, the same is not true for the Yamato versus Montana. He very much can punch through your armor even when you're angled. Now, he's not going to get a Citadel hit, but he can still get through it and inflict some damage. And of course, the only other Tier 10 battleship on the enemy team, and of course he's on this side. Hooray! At least it's not a Yamato. Thank God for that. But basically, the reason why I say this, I had a match the other day during all of these crashing problems, and it was one of the few games that didn't actually crash on me. And I was about less than 10 kilometers away from an enemy Yamato. We were both angled. He fired, penetrated my armor, did about 10,000 damage. So it's not the end of the world. But since he fired, I turned a bit, exposed my broadside, and fired a full salvo. Now, every single shot hit, which is, even at those ranges, is slightly unusual for a battleship to get all 12 hits, but all 12 shells hit. Not a single one was able to do any damage to him, which, was unfortunate because, as I said, he can penetrate my armor, and of course, as I said, he's not going to get a Citadel, but he is going to be able to do some damage. So in those situations, you probably have to switch over to high explosive, and as I said before, high explosive, I feel like I'm failing at life, and we get 4 hits for 13,600 damage on that Mogami, even without a Citadel penetration. So I think we're going to, now that the front guns are ready, we're going to focus on him, because obviously he's got torpedoes, and we don't want any of those, no thank you. And those were looking pretty good, but a lag, they go through another 4 hits, but this time they only do 6,000 damage. But again, not the end of the world, we'll take it. And he's on very low health, so I think I just fire off one turret, and I think this is enough to finish him off. Indeed it is, and that is my one and only kill of the match. And of course he sets me on fire and does about 8,000 damage. But my other problem is, and this is kind of Wargaming's fault, and I understand the reasoning why they make the repair costs on Tier 10 so expensive. Basically, the idea is that even once players reach Tier 10, they're still going to need to go down to the lower tiers and keep those tiers populated in order to earn money to fund their tier 10 ships. And here we use one of those nice new quick commands. We call for help. Someone says affirmative. I'm not sure. It was the aircraft carrier, so maybe he'll help. But I mean, basically, again, you can see most of my team has gone the other way. And I mean, it's just and we in this position where we're facing off against 2 Tirpitzes, a Montana and a Targo, and all I've got is a destroyer here who is about to be extremely helpful, and another Tirpitz who's not interested in getting up close and personal. But my problem is with tier 10 battles themselves, and with that expensive repair cost, because this ship is about 283,000 credits to repair if destroyed. So because of that, and it's the same for everyone, and here comes the Fubuki to my rescue. He's going to lay down a smoke screen, which I'm going to then be able to use to throw it into full speed ahead and turn hard to starboard and get out of this area. But like what you can see here with this enemy Montana in front of me, he's going to peek this corner and just sit angled against me. And that's basically what happens at tier 10 when 2 tier 10 battleships engage each other. There's no dynamic play. You know, I've seen a lot of YouTube videos of people playing tier 10 Montanas and Yamatos, and it's dynamic, and they're having fun, and they're doing all this stuff. Now, a lot of it is from closed beta, and I'm sitting there and I'm wondering, where the hell are these guys when I play? Because no one wants to take the risk of moving around and being dynamic with their ship in case it gets them killed, because it's a basically 300,000 silver repairable. So the Targo is 9 kilometers away from us, and we're going to take some shots. We're just waiting for all our turrets to get on target, and I think that is, like, right now my biggest problem with tier 10 is that people don't really play dynamically. It's very static, it's very boring, and with good reason. We get 6 hits for 16,000 damage. So this ship really does pack a punch against anything except a Yamato. And that's basically what a lot of people on the forum have said, is that the Montana is better at dealing with everything else, whereas Yamato is better at dealing with other Yamatos and Montanas. And because you're always locked in this, you know, angling and facing off against each other, you know, Yamato has a rather big advantage, because, as I said, even as much as I angle my armor, he can still penetrate. Not going to get citadels, but those 8,000 damage hits really are going to stack up. Whereas I can't really do anything unless I switch to high explosive, which is something I'm probably going to have to do. And the Montana takes out one of my rear turrets, but thankfully it's not a permanent knockout. We just got to wait for that to be repaired. And again, it's another thing that's really been annoying me and causing a lot of problems, is that you'd think that people who are in tier 10 games, you know, whether or not they're in a tier 10 ship or not, you know, they've at least tier 8 or 9, you'd think that they would have an idea of how to play and how to work as a team. And unfortunately, that's just not the case. Almost every battle where I've been killed, it's a big reason has been because my team has just left me. Now, Montana's not as fast as Iowa, limited to 28 knots, and this aircraft carrier's torpedo drop is going to give me the perfect moment to put some hurt onto this guy. So we fire everything we have, and we're going to get a good amount of damage on him. And here it comes. We get 6 hits and 2 citadels for about 50,000 damage or so. So that was really, really nice. But unfortunately, I'm not going to get the opportunity to repeat that. And that is a clear example of why you don't ever want to go broadside against an enemy tier 10 battleship, because they'll just do that to you. And I honestly think Montana is actually easier to citadel than Iowa. But as I was saying, like, the cruisers and the rest of the team, they often just leave you behind. You can't keep up with them. You're often the focus of the enemy's attention. And he's now switched to high explosive, which, as I said, is probably something I should have done. and I think I will do it at some point, but I think the round will actually end before I get to fire off a high explosive salvo at this guy. But also, because you're always the focus of attention, you're constantly having to maneuver, you're constantly having to slow down, speed up, turn to try and evade fire or angle, avoid torpedoes, because obviously a lot of destroyers at this tier, most people are, when they're playing destroyers, they're playing the Japanese destroyers, which have the massively long ranges of 16 kilometers, or on the Kagero and the Shimikaze, or whatever those ranges are. So you're always having to dodge, you're always having to slow down, and your team just leaves you. And then you're focused down and you're dead. And it's been one of the things that's been really frustrating, is just constantly being left by my team, because, you know, if I'm in a cruiser or if I'm in another battleship and I see a Montana or Yamato, if I'm in my Iowa or something, I go and stick with them if I can, unless of course they're on the other side of the spawn. And I follow them and I try and support them, but a lot of players are not doing that. So it's been a bit frustrating, but I was on the brink of selling the ship, but I think I do want to try and keep it and try and get the hang of it. But this was a victory, my second victory in this ship out of about 15 games. And we got 43 target hits, only 1 incapacitation, 1 kill, those 2 Citadel hits on the Montana and defended a base twice, for 236,000 silver and 3,200 research. Still, somehow we came first place on the team by about just under 200 points, and only did 95,000 damage. And there you can see, I mean, 120,000 repair, another 34 ammunition, and I mean, we were on half health, so it's really expensive to run. I haven't had a lot of fun playing it yet. I'm hoping that's going to change in the future. And if you have a Montana and you have some tips, and please feel free, because I enjoyed this thing in closed beta, but so far in the release, it hasn't been particularly good. But anyways, I think that is about it for this video. If you enjoyed, please feel free to hit the thumbs up button down below and consider subscribing for more World of Warships content, as well as War Thunder and a few other things that are thrown to the mix from time to time. Also, be sure to check the description for links to my Facebook and my Twitter pages, as well as the email address you guys can use to send in a replay if you have a really awesome game. But as I said, that is it from me. Thank you very much for stopping by. This is Predator 458 signing off, and I will see you guys next time.